Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are diving back into Falcon once again. They just came out with a brand new update for Falcon. This is 2.1. There's some pretty incredible features that they've put into this, particularly with the script processing. Now, admittedly, I haven't actually been working in Falcon for a little while. It's kind of been on the back burner because I've had other stuff, other toys I've been playing around with lately. So I'm going to kind of go through some of the new stuff. I'm just kind of checking it out for myself right now. So please forgive me if there's some things that I've missed from previous updates. I believe one or two of the things that I've been looking at now were actually in a previous update, but I actually hadn't gone over them yet. But yeah, let's get into this, particularly the script processing. Some of this stuff will blow you away. Let's check this out. Right, so just checking out some of the new features, 40 new wave tables. We'll check some of those out now in a sec. Script API, a lot of the script stuff is where I'm most interested in. Chord strumming script, which is pretty cool for sort of plucked instruments. Record option to the arpeggiator. The gate mod, poly mod, this is pretty interesting. The step up, wow, this just kind of blew me away. It's a step sequencer. But it's one of the most powerful step sequences I've come across in a synth so far. Some of the Reason Player stuff comes close to it. We're going to check that out now in just a sec. Really impressive stuff. Then some new effects stuff as well. The magnetic bass shaper. I have yet to check these out. We're going to check these out now in a sec. The feedback machine as well. Let's take a look. So I've just been playing around for a little bit, just to kind of get the lay of the land here, but we're going to just make something from scratch, and I'm just going to show you a few things I've been messing around with here. So let's just remove this node. We'll start fresh, add a new program, add a layer, and let's just add a key group. While we're here, let's just quickly jump into the wavetables. Just take a quick look at this. You can see, I can't remember which one of these are originals from the old version and which are the new ones, but if you kind of scroll through here now, there's a ton of new wavetables. I believe some of these analog ones are new. I don't recognize all of these. Brutal bass. The images, I think, were there before. Fractal, there's some interesting stuff in here. Ocean Swift, I don't actually remember any of these wavetables being there as well. Maybe these are the new ones. So some cool stuff to go. We're not going to spend too much time on that though. That is new wavetables that you can check out. I'm just jump back into analog. Let's just grab a saw wave. I'm gonna stick a filter. And we'll just grab the low pass, 24 dB low pass. Now the first thing I wanted to just look at quickly, I believe this was actually in a previous update, but I never actually noticed this one. They've added new modulation sources. So if we go to the key group to add new sources here, you've got a few new things like the parametric LFO, which is pretty interesting. So LFO source, but with a lot more control over the shape of it. So let's just dial up the frequency slightly. It's pretty interesting that you can skew these shapes around a little bit with these controls on the side here. Gives you some pretty interesting modulation sources. The other one that I wanted to look at here was, we'll just remove this one again and add another modulation source key group. The step envelope, this is pretty cool as well. Also gives you a lot of control over the shapes of your modulation. You can kind of create LFO kind of stuff with this as well by smoothing it out. But take a listen to this now. So we've got a modulation source. So previously you could do this in the scripting, but it's now actually added as a modulation source that you can just easily just attach to any control or parameter inside of Falcon. You can adjust the amount of steps as well, so you can kind of get sort of polyrhythmic stuff. Now you can smooth these out to create LFO shapes as well, or more smooth LFO kind of modulation. And obviously this one syncs to your DAW clock rather than being free running like the LFOs. So really nice little options those. Let's just check if there was anything else new in there as well. You can just right click on that to just change these. I believe yeah, no, that is pretty much it. I think the multi-envelope might actually be new as well. Or was that the DH? Yeah, the multi-envelope seems to be a new one as well. So pretty much like the DAH-DSR envelopes from before, except I believe this is now loopable. Yeah, so you can kind of create kind of complex shapes. Kind of like Serum as well. Serum's LFO section is very similar to that. You also have a number of presets, obviously, on all of these that you can kind of just dial through some various options. So they actually have a release phase as well, and then the looped section over here. Cool, so that covers the new modulation stuff, or at least the stuff that I haven't been paying much attention to recently. Just to add another envelope to this and then dive into the sequencing stuff, because that's really kind of blown me away with this new update. And ADSR. Oh, they had also added in a attack decay envelope as well, which is a nice addition. Especially for percussive sounds. It's a nice tight envelope, that as well. Really nice for adding a little bit of punch to bass sounds as well. So we'll just go back to our standard ADSR again. We'll dial this into stereo quickly and just add a little bit of detuning. It's got a slightly more interesting wave. Cool, now let's get to the good stuff. So let's check out some of the new scripts. I should also mention, before we get into the sequencing scripts, I stumbled across this one, which I believe they added a while back as well, but I'd never noticed, which is really interesting, the Shepherd Tone script. So the scripts, if you're not aware, they MIDI scripts essentially that control, or sort of like macros for various different MIDI functions. So what the Shepherd one is doing is basically adjusting the volume and the pitch bends of multiple notes that are played on top of each other to create Shepherd tones. So all you need to do to get a Shepherd tone in this case is load up the Shepherd script. We can start with one partial so you can see what's happening. The direction, we're going to go up and set the speed, and then you have the amount of steps that it goes up as well. Take a listen to what happens now. We'll disable that. There's our sound, and let's just enable the script. That's going to go on and on and on. A fantastic tool for creating sort of big rises and sweeps, etc. You can obviously up the partials amount as well. Really, really cool. So check that one out. Shepherd script inside of Falcon. Let's get into the arpeggiator we've had here for a while. The script processors, so they've updated the Euclidean sequencer. I covered this in a video before. The drum sequencer, they've updated the tonal one now as well. Some interesting stuff that you can do with that, but let's just jump into the other new one now. The if you come down to sequencing, let's grab the step up. Okay, here we go. This is the new step sequencer inside of Falcon. Let's just take a look at some of the features here, because this is seriously powerful stuff. This. So this is monophonic currently. It's acting pretty much like an arpeggiator. There we go. We've got 16 steps. You can bring that down to create sort of more polyrhythmic stuff if you want. Let's go with a 5-step sequencer. We'll up this to 16. And what I want to do as well is just add a delay. It kind of just puts things in perspective. So I'm just going to set this one to, we'll just grab the presets, the dual delay templates, and we'll go with ping pong. Just get a nice stereo delay going. And let's bump this up to 8 dotted notes. Okay, jump back down to our script, the step up that we're working with. So let's just run through some of these columns here. So you've got velocity that you can adjust for each of these. So anything that's being triggered by velocity, like your volume, if you come down to your envelopes, any of your envelopes can be sensitive to velocity as well. So let's take like our filter, for example. If we dial up the dynamic, the velocity is now going to affect our filter. Get a few more steps in here. Cool. Then we've got some gates as well, so you can adjust the gate for each of the steps in the sequence. You can set up a custom MIDI CC value as well. Then you've got the ARP types. You've got various different ways that this can trigger. You can even do a chord there. So on each time that it gets to that step, it'll play all the notes that you're currently holding down in the ARP there, if you set that to chord. Start up the gates on the chord ones, and maybe the ARP notes will bring those down a little bit. Take a listen to this now. Then you've got repeats, you've got panning for each section as well, so we can maybe leave the R chords in the middle, pan out the other ones. Let's just grab maybe a down for that. We'll do 1 or 2 of these other ones just to see what happens. Random. Moving down, you can adjust the octaves as well for certain ones. Go up with that one for that chord, for example. Now, if you want to put an actual sequence in, you can actually go and put in the pitch adjustments for each note as well. So you can set up actual sequences like one note and let it play a sequence. Probability is really cool as well. If you set the probability of this, it's going to give you a randomness as to whether the notes will actually sound or not. Let's take a listen now. bring those back up again. And then the reset, I'm not 100% sure. Not 100% sure what the resets are doing, as well as the repeats. I'll need to check those up. But the other interesting thing as well is that for each step in your sequence, you can actually set time signatures as well. So you have, okay, yeah, so here we go. So if you set this to repeat, you should be able to dial in repeat amounts for that section. Really, really cool. So we've got notes. These ones, obviously, you can have them glide. I haven't got the sound set up for glides now, but... it's actually doing it for me. Let's make sure our gate is long. I've got to open this filter up a little bit and just take a listen to what this sounds like. Let's just bump up our voices as well. Cool. I mean, this is endless hours of fun, this. Take a look. There's a few more things I wanted to look at here. Let's check the ARP type. Okay, we had a look at that already. Oh, and then these, obviously, you can set globally as well. If you set on the side, it'll adjust all of them. Now, the interesting thing with this as well is if these probability things weren't enough for you, each one of these lanes has a randomize amount as well. So let's... unfortunately, we can't... this was also interesting, sorry, the each step can actually have its own time signature as well. So you can have that one run faster. Let's do stay away from the triplets. We'll go with 2 for that one. And let's go for 2 dotted for that. And half. Take a listen to this now. It's actually changing the time signature on each step of the sequence as well, which is super cool. We can reset the... sorry, this is the randomize function. So the ratio you can set globally again. We'll set those all back to 1:1. Now, you can actually just use this randomize function. The red ones should, I believe, reset everything. And then you can randomize. Let's add in a whole bunch of glides. Reset that again. Let's add in a whole bunch of repeats here. And we'll come down to the repeat section and randomize there. And we just go to town with this. Randomize the panning. Let's randomize the octaves. Randomize the probability. Actually, no, let's leave the probability on so that they all sound. Let's randomize the gates and the velocity. And if you're not happy, you can just keep randomizing. Pretty cool, this. I really like this module. Obviously, there's a bunch of presets that come with this as well. Some glitchy stuff. Now the insane thing with this as well is this script applies to the current layer that we're on. So what we can do is, or the current key group, yeah, the layer that we're on, yeah. Sorry, this can be confusing sometimes with Falcon with the layers and key groups and so on. Think of the key groups as an oscillator or sound source, and then the layer, the section that we're playing now. We can add another layer. Let's go with a chordal sequence for this one. I'm just going to use the presets just for the sake of this demo. Bring down the gain of this layer slightly. And on our second layer, let's just go and add in another key group quickly. We'll just grab a saw wave. This time we'll leave all the unison and stuff off. And go back to our layer settings here, add another script processor. And we can add a second step up in there. So you've seen how complex you can get with just one of these. Now you can actually layer them on top of each other. So let's go with a complex one. Let's go try this out. Play these back. We'll just adjust the gain for this one. I mean, yeah, you see where this is going. So just the complexity that you can get with this is pretty incredible. Let's just delete this one. Just go back to this node that we have here. I wanted to take a look at a few other of the script processes as well. If you just switch through the different ones here, we can grab Polyphonic Sequence. This is really interesting as well. So what this does is it assigns a sequence to every single note that you play. So let me just demonstrate this now. We'll grab something like this preset, the up and down preset. So what you have here is you have 4 repeats, so you have 4 steps essentially. This is the tune section here, so you can see 12 semitones. So we're going up, center, down an octave, and then up again. This is what it sounds like with one note. We can add in some, oh, there's panning in there already. You can add in repeats as well. Let's actually go with 8th notes. Let's do something a little bit slower actually this time around. We'll go with quarters, so then we can use the repeats to get 16th and 8th notes. So that's not all that exciting in itself, but watch what happens when I play a chord. So these are re-triggering each time I play a note. Each note literally has its own arpeggiator running on it. So you can hear they're slightly out of sync as well. If you're sequencing this in Cubase or in your DAW, obviously you'll have everything in time. My playing is not 100% accurate, but you can see if I sort of play them out of time as well, each one will run independently. So really, really unique. I haven't really come across too many things that do arpeggiation per note per se. Once again, there's a number of different presets that you can have a look at. Let's take a listen to some of these. Let's try this one shot mode. Cool, so that'll stop the looping. The random start. Okay, that's pretty interesting as well. So each one actually starts at a different point. Really, really nice. So two more that I want to actually just take a look at as well. I'm just going to load up the step up once again. And so now on top of the step up that we have here, I'm going to load up another script on top of this. And we're going to grab one of the gate mods. So the gate mod, if you load that one up, you'll see we still have our script processor there, and that's running through the gate mods. Take a listen to what we can do with this one as well. So it's adding a probability to actually skip, and you have a number of other options for the... We'll take the skip off and take a listen to the delay. So that's just adding a probability to actually delay notes that are being played through the script. The ratcheting I really like. Take a listen to this one. So we'll add in some of the ratcheting. Currently it's set to 1, so you're not really going to hear much here. Once we turn this up to a higher number, listen to the ratcheting now. As the probability hits every now and then, it's going to ratchet those notes. Obviously, you have 100% probability every single note is going to be repeated like that. And you can randomize the amount of hits as well. So if we can go back down to 1, we'll randomize the ratcheting amount. And... So I know you can do these repeats on the script processor, but the reason you'd want to probably be using the gate mod is because this is purely random, because it's a probability. You've got probability here to hit the step, but not for the actual step itself. I mean for the repeats. So if you do these repeats, it's essentially the same sound that you're going to be getting, but these are going to be repeating at the same point in that step every single time, whereas the ratcheting that you have on the script processor is truly random. It's just going to give you quite organic sounding. Cool, and then obviously that will just reset everything again. Now, there's a few other, there's a polyphonic gate mod as well. Script processing, sequencing. This is very much the same, however, this one is obviously polyphonic now. and let's dial in some ratcheting. We'll randomize the ratchets again, but we'll do a bit of probability on all these different notes. I believe we're going to have to feed this polyphonic. This one is going to require that you actually set up the triggers beforehand for the chords that you're playing. I believe if we play it back, you should get the ratcheting occurring now. So you can see as I'm playing through those notes, the ones that we have set up here are triggering the ratcheting there as well. So in here as well, if you select one, let's say from C1, this should select all the subsequent notes after that. So anything in this section that I'm playing in the middle of the keyboard. Will be assigned to these notes. You could probably use multiple instances of this script as well. I mean, these don't actually use up much CPU power or anything. They're all just MIDI scripts. So if you wanted to, you could load up one for each octave and have the entire keyboard running through these probability sections in this gate mod. This one I find less useful. I quite like just the mono one for running a sequence through it. And then there is another one which I haven't quite got my head around yet. I will need to do some research first. The Bernoulli gate mod. And I believe what this does is it actually just shifts certain notes around, so you can use it to kind of create sort of different scales, I guess. So if we set C1 and we can set the output to G3, for example, you can essentially remap how your keyboard would function. So we'll set that probability to 100. And let's set C1 as our input there. Okay, so when we hit this one down here, you see it's actually being adjusted to G3. Or you can have a 50% chance it'll go to G3 or a 50% chance it'll go to C2, for example. So if I run up the scale here, yeah, it's jumping all the way up. That time round it picked up the C instead of the G. So you can set up some interesting stuff with this to kind of generate sort of slightly randomized pitches in a sequence, for example. Again, I wouldn't be using this one as much, but you could do some pretty interesting stuff with that as well. But we'll cut it there. The apologies, a fairly informal look. Like I said, I've just kind of gotten this as well and just been going through this. But I just wanted to show you guys the sequencing stuff in this new version of Falcon, because that I thought was super, super impressive. I'm going to have to dive into this and have some more fun with that in just a bit. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Once again, if you guys are enjoying the content, please consider hitting the subscribe button. Also, give us a thumbs up on the video, and don't forget to hit the notifications button so that you know when we come out with new stuff. As always, you can check out the website, www.marulamusic.com, and I will see you guys again soon. Cheers. Take care.